Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great, and I don't think I've ever been more happy to see a Cardinal rain out than today.
Well, it's kind of the way the season has gone, and last night just was even more brutal to the brutal start of the season with Contreras' injury, and not just a, injury that's going to keep him out a couple of days, 6 to 8 weeks at the least, and
that's post All-Star break.
Oh, absolutely. That was awful. You're right. I think when I saw that game was going to be delayed, I was like, man, I would almost prefer them just to delay it and not make me have to go through a Cardinals game today.
And with it being the last of the homestand against the Mets, the last game of the series against the Mets, and there's no return trip by the Mets this year. The Cardinals do go to New York later in the year. No, they've already been to New York. To New York. So good chance this one may not get made up because there's not a lot of wiggle room in the schedule.
Let's see. I want.
Did you see a date?
Yeah, I want to say I saw a date.
Thursday after the All-Star game is very popular for some because most people start back on Friday, but a lot don't. So if you had to play that one, in September, there are only 3 dates. The Cardinals aren't scheduled to play in the month of September. Now, if it came down to mattering, they would play the Monday after the last day of the year, but it's not going to matter for St. Louis. It may for the Mets.
So it looks like, at least the reporting out of St. Louis from all of those beat writers, is that the makeup date will be on August 5th, while the Mets are they're going to be in Los Angeles on the 4th. They're going to come to St. Louis on the 5th and then go back out to Colorado on the 6th to start another series. I guess we've got an open date in there on August 5th, so they'll play that Monday, August 5th at 4:15 p.m.
Well, they know what they're doing because that date works. The Cardinals are finishing a series in Chicago against the Cubs that weekend before starting a home series against Tampa Bay. I hope it doesn't get made up.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't either, but we'll.
I'm afraid by May 5th I could be very detached.
I think so. I think you'll probably get there very quickly this year. I know last year, we've already talked
from the Cardinals,
this,
not from baseball.
Right. But we talked about it. It felt like middle to late August last year was kind of the time that it happened when we were kind of, football right there around the corner. You can start thinking about that. But this year it feels like probably be earlier than that, with back-to-back really, really bad seasons. It feels like it might, happen maybe middle of summer.
Feel it coming. We even talked about, what if this team started taking on injuries like last year, that it, be a 110-loss team. It could be. It could really go up there if one of the pitchers went down in one wheel. The severity is it 2 weeks or 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Is it 3 weeks or 9 weeks? Is it the end of cancel the year or finish the year off for them or not? And Sonny Gray, who was going to go today, he's about the most reliable guy you're running out there.
Yeah.
Last night I went to the Redbirds game. I said I would yesterday, and I did, and really wanted to see Norfolk, the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. And they are lined up wingtip to wingtip. They got the players.
Yeah, I was able to catch a couple of their games online at the beginning of the season, and looked like it. Looked like the most dominant minor league team out there, and so it sounds like they're still doing that same thing. I love that.
I love everything about their approach, how they run, how they play defense, how they approach batting. If you have that kind of that hard liner, Jackson Holiday led off the top of the first. They had 5 runs before the Redbirds ever batted last night.
Holy cow.
He led off the game with, that hit kind of to the right side to the second base side of second base. But, it shot through fast that, most above American Legion, above high school, center fielders field cleanly, throw into second. And he beat it down the line, made that big, hard turn that forces you to have one eye kind of on him and pick it up cleanly and throw it in. If he bobbles it all, he's gonna stand up on second. They do it on every base for every attempt.
Crazy.
And I love that aggressiveness. You can see that finally the Orioles have their stuff together. It took a while.
They sure do. And yeah, it took a lot of bad years, but they really have it going. I mean, you look at this team that they've already got in the pros, and they're doing their thing and playing really well with a lot of really young, talented players. And it seems like they've just got, whatever, pick whatever position you want, and it feels like they've got a young prospect at AAA.
Would you want to go through that like the Astros did as well? The Astros had to hit rock bottom to get all the draft picks and get a lot of things right and get it right, hiring Jeff Lunau and other baseball operations people. And now, maybe not so far this year, but they've been on a good run. Never mind the stuff off the field. On the field, they've been on a good run. The Orioles did it. The Braves didn't go to bottom quite like that, right, but it hit really tougher times, especially for them, and now they look like – would you want to – if the Cardinals are going through the next 5-6 years of a couple of lasts, a couple of 100-loss seasons, to eventually get it turned around, say, in 28, 29, and get back rolling again, is it worth it?
It might be. I mean, I would – if I – could pick and choose, I would say give me the timeline and makeup of like what the Braves did, like you said, not completely rock bottom, but certainly not great seasons and struggled in there, but able to retool and get a lot of things right. But it would be tough to go through a bunch of complete rock bottom seasons.
And yesterday, watching the NHL draft stay chalky all the way through, and we're going to have the NBA lottery Sunday afternoon. And I don't think it'll be that chalky, but it could be.
Could be.
I got a really novel idea for teams around sports.
Okay.
The last go first.
Yeah. That would make it easier, and certainly NHL made it seem like they wanted that.
Nothing is tank proof.
No.
And if you're that big a loser to tank, then okay.
Yeah, go for it. But no, I think you're right. I mean, yesterday what we saw in that draft lottery was, lunacy. I've never seen something like that.
It was Al Capone's vault.
I've never seen anything.
When they opened it up, and there was nothing in it.
Just here exactly what y'all thought would happen has happened, but it turned out to be what nobody thought would happen, because nobody would have guessed. Oh, exactly what it looks like now is what it will look like after the lottery. But I think that's a thought, and I wouldn't mind it at all. If you're the worst, you pick first. And
what's the reaction near and far if the NBA was pure chalk Sunday?
I think
in their ping pong balls,
I think there would be a lot of kind of the same reaction that we had yesterday. Of you've got to be kidding me! There's no way that it just went that chalky. I don't think anybody's mad about it.
One thing about chalk though is that is last going first.
It is. So you would like it, but I don't think people would be happy about it. But I don't think anybody's gonna hate on it. I think it's just gonna be kind of the reaction we had yesterday. I can't believe this is actually happening right now. This is not exciting. This is crazy. That sort of thing. I don't know if people would be in favor. I certainly don't think anybody would be in favor of it though.
Brian, I ran into a friend of mine yesterday who, for years, I'm not going to call his name, for years, a part of the Memphis media, very well known, really knows how it ticks.
Sure.
And he said to me, and really, I'm at the Redbirds game last night. I thought of what he said. He goes, "How come everything now has to be the biggest ever?"
Yeah.
And so dramatic. And every whether it's ping pong ball night or we just completed draft, we know the first round's big, but
sure.
Is that fourth round really that big?
No. No, not at all.
And I agreed with him that everything and it started with kind of news, and it started on the afternoon of 9/11. That's where the ticker began. The constant ticker on everything. Oh yeah. That's where the ticker began, and we were just news TV junkies for 10 days. Wondering, really sorry for the lost souls at Ground Zero, and wondering if the country would be attacked again, and we were safe, and airlines, everything. We were just watching it, fixated on it, just riveted by what's next, and that compunction has just only been magnified into everything. is the biggest, neatest thing ever.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Everything is gonna.
And it can't be.
No, it can't. But I think television, like you said, also has to do with that. I think they think at least TV execs and stuff like that to draw more people, we got to make it the biggest and try to get all of the excitement around it. And so you almost see every single year things like that you have once a year, the draft, the lottery, things like that. They try to one up from last year. Okay, how can we be better from last year?
Yeah.
Make it even bigger and better. But I'm with you. I don't think it needs to be bigger and better and more spectacular or anything.
It's like every single sentence is teased to after the break, the breaking news of.
Yes. Well, that's what.
And sometimes it's not really breaking news, and it's not that big.
No.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's old newspaper day, 4-inch headlines.
Sure. But that's, when we were watching this NHL draft lottery in here, we were talking about, they were going to breaks between picks, and they were showing, B-roll and different stats from players. I mean, it was so drawn out of something that I think realistically could be a 5-minute hit on SportsCenter. And, hey, we're going to have the quick NHL draft lottery and, announce it real quick and then be done with it. But we've got to make it a 30-minute show and fill that time and make it all.
A lot of graphics, a lot of B-roll.
A lot of graphics and a lot of B-roll that I really do not need in my life.
And I understand the clicks, sub, list. Well, I've been in this most of my life. I understand. You got to pull people in, and with that, and I'm not assigning any motive at all. But today, in the Commercial Appeal, columnist Mark Giannotto wrote about Coach Penny Hardaway's done it again. He's won the offseason, and that we should just embrace it. Tell me what embracing it means, Brian. In your opinion, what does embracing the offseason mean?
I don't know. I think it almost to me sounds like rally around this team and rally around Penny Hardaway and what he's kind of brought in.
Who? The fans rally around it?
Yes.
Or the media?
I think everybody, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I think it's everybody.
But I think
from the fans to the media to rally around.
I can see it both sides. So maybe.
But I mean, does that mean we all get in lockstep of saying second weekend?
I don't think so. But
is it make the tournament?
I think that's what it is for me, at least.
That's what it is for me.
Is it average 9,000 instead of 7,000? Is it the hum the fight song every time you see somebody?
That'd be nice. I don't know.
Does it mean have expectations of beating Rice at home and Tulane on the road at Cameron Indoor Tulane Fieldhouse?
That would certainly help things, I think, because that certainly didn't happen last year.
Does it mean not having a fifth-year player that you're relying on not having an academic scandal at the worst timing of the year, and we don't know how that's going to end? It could end in a nothing burger, but it could end very ugly. It was bad enough that he had to be set down for critical games.
Sure was. A lot of critical games. I think there are a ton of questions that I think is not just answered by off-season acquisitions.
In the political world, they judge it by favorabilities.
Okay.
What would you say around town Penny Hardaway's favorable rating would be? We know when hired, shoe game, suit game, all the signees, it was at or near 100%, wasn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
And the tough thing about coaching compared to politics, you got to go out there and do it every year.
Yeah.
In politics, you only run for the House every 2 years, the Senate every 6, and if you make it to president, you only got to do it twice and reelect after 4 years. In coaching, it's every year. In sports, unlike in politics, we have a very definitive real-world scoreboard and history book. I can go and look and see what you did in the 21-22 season.
Yeah, very, very quickly and easily.
What would you think the favorable rating would be? Just your guess. I'm going to ask it twofold.
Okay.
What would the favorability rating be among fans, and what do you think the favorability rating is among Memphis media?
Oh, geez. I still think it's pretty high because I think at the end of the day it's still Penny Hardaway, and I still think people are rallying around him and still giving him time. I would say certainly not 100 like it was when he first got hired, but I would say 75 or 80.
Okay, with that, if it's that, then that sure doesn't translate and correspond to tickets being sold because that building is nowhere near 75 or 80% full.
That's true. That's true.
It's less than 50% full.
Yeah.
And that is a big way to judge how popular you are. And that corresponds with that left-hand column and advancing and going into the tournament.
Mm-hmm. And not just the left-hand column through December, the left-hand column through February and March.
And sure not one in May and June.
No. What left-hand column in May or June?
What do you think the media rating would be? If you polled every single person that weighs in, writing, talking, reporting, TV, radio, every communication, pods, everything that weighs in on Tiger basketball, what do you think the favorability rating would be there?
65?
I think it'd be close to 100.
Really? Wow.
Who around town really have you heard gets down hard on him?
Nobody. That's a good point.
Nobody.
That's a very good point.
I mean, in unison and fairly and accurately. He's not going to be fired. He shouldn't be fired. He's going to be coached through the end of that contract.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You got me. I do think it's higher. You're right.
So I don't know what embracing means.
Yeah.
Just suspending my brain and just at every mention, go Tigers, go.
Go Tigers. Team's going to be great. They've got all the stars. Look at these.
Haven't we done that?
Brett, every year. Every offseason.
Didn't we collectively, for valid reasons, do it at 15-2?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And I said I think it's top 10, top 15 most loaded roster in the country. Now they did suffer a big injury.
Sure.
Caleb Mills.
Sure. One player though. I think that team was still talented, and there were other issues that became a bigger problem to it. But yeah, So, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. But I feel like we're going to continue to play this game of, look at this offseason edition. Look at this edition. Look at this guy. This guy was at this place, and look how he can play a role. So we'll have to see. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, we'll get into the NBA playoffs, pair of games last night. Only one game tonight, but I think it's going to be a really good one. Pacers and Knicks. We'll talk about what we saw in those two games last night. Also preview that big one for tonight. 3:45, we did our exercise yesterday with the coaches. Now we'll hop over to the players. Top 10 NBA players right now in the playoffs. Brett, earlier before the show started, we were talking about, we didn't give away any of the people we have on our list, but we did say I'm curious how similar they are. I feel pretty confident to say we probably have number one the same. I don't know after that.
I don't know that we do.
Really?
I don't know that we do. I want to see. I think our numbers will change a lot.
Certainly.
But I just wonder if somebody not on my list is on yours and vice versa. We'll see. It'll be fun, and we want people.
Definitely. So definitely send those in if we get to it and you think we didn't put somebody on the list. Text it in and let us know at the Sissy's Log Cabin text line. 4 o'clock, John Goen from Timber Trust Golf. He'll join us. We'll talk some golf and make some picks with him. Like I mentioned earlier, 2 tournaments to pick this weekend. So it's going to be a ton of picks around 4:15 or so. 4:30, we'll talk some baseball as it was a busy night. Last night, we already had some games go final this afternoon, so plenty of baseball to get to. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Rob Fisher. He'll join us to talk the NBA and NBA playoffs. Plenty to get to with him. We might have to get a little update on the hockey as well with him. I'm telling you, Johnny, I don't know if you saw those 2 games last night, but they were thrillers in the NHL. Both games went to overtime. One went to double overtime. So, just unbelievable games. But
the Stars broke mine and John's heart.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
I didn't realize my heart was broken until I woke up this morning, Johnny.
I was about to just say that. I said,
Brian,
I wasn't.
It's all right.
That's why I didn't sleep well last night.
Hey,
I knew something was going on.
Deep in your soul, you knew something wasn't
I
right.
thought I was still agonizing over the Redbirds.
There was something wrong.
The only only to find out in the morning that it was the Stars. But we'll talk to Rob Fisher from Grind City Media, all of the Grizzlies television broadcasts. He'll join us to talk the NBA. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Factory direct pricing is going on right now for swimming pools, spas, and patio furniture. It's patio season. Get by Family Leisure and check out the new 2024 patio furniture sets. Pool season will be here before we know it. Buy now to get first in line for your pool installation and get pre-season pricing. Save $1,000 to $5,000 on all spas and swim spas. Also, special pricing on all in-stock saunas, theater seating, pool tables, and outdoor kitchens, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sports Time. He's Brian. I'm Brett. Our producer is Johnny Hill, and we're with you until 6 o'clock, and we want you to be a part of our show at 901-360-8255. Text or talk at that number, and you can send it in. That's our Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line, and all our guests will appear at 901-360-8255. That's our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be those NBA playoff games from last night. I didn't really know what to expect. I felt like I knew what to expect in that first game. I thought Boston was going to be able to win easily over the Cavs. They had a big second half performance. It was only about a 10-point game at halftime. Cavs maybe hanging around and maybe make it interesting, but second half, the Celtics really took over, a 120-95 win for them. That second game, though, was the real interesting one. Oklahoma City rocking as the Mavericks walk in and really could not get much going. It was a fun game, back and forth early. They were tied after one quarter. It was really back and forth in that second quarter, but then the Thunder started to dominate both ends of the court, offensively and defensively, to secure that 117-95 win over the Mavericks. They just didn't look right. Luka Doncic kind of got tripped up about middle of the game and really didn't look great after that. Didn't look right after that. So hopefully, I know he's coming in, was a game time decision for yesterday's game, but played afterwards. And so I hope that whatever happened last night did not, injure anything more, and that he'll be okay to go. He finished with 19 points while Kyrie Irving added 20 points. But then on the other side, Oklahoma City, these guys that they brought in, I mean, unbelievable. Chet with 19, SGA with 29, Jalen Williams with 18. You've got Lou Dort, who plays really good defense, gives them a lot of energy. Really impressive performance in Game 1 for them. After what we saw the Mavericks do to the Clippers in that last series, I was just really impressed with the Thunder, and we'll see if they can keep it rolling in Game 2.
Heartbreak last night for Dallas on the road in basketball and at home at AAC. Man. For the Stars in the hockey loss. That's my top story. It's the young guns of Oklahoma City saying, wait a second, we're pretty good too. Minnesota, you're not the only youngsters out here that are good. It was one win in Game 1, and it was easily over Dallas. 3 to go for Oklahoma City, 2 to go for Minnesota. In what could set up an all-central time zone NBA Western Conference Finals. How about that? Got to check the record. The last time you had that, and almost impossible to think about Golden State and the Lakers and the Suns all not being in the Western Conference Finals. We'll check that. But it's the changing of the guard. Some national NBA types, they may not know where Minneapolis and Oklahoma City, how to get there this time of year if they've ever even been there. Boston and New York will drive the East, but Smallville's driving the West.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, I got to stick with the NBA because I am so fascinated with tonight's matchup. Only one game, a 7 p.m. tip for the Pacers and the Knicks. It's been all everybody can talk about these first couple days since that first game of what happened from those last closing minutes to the call. Then we get the 2-minute report that comes out, and so I mean everybody's been talking about it, and that is great build-up for Game 2. It was so back and forth. The Pacers had opportunities. The Knicks certainly had opportunities that they were finally able to cash in on at the end to win that game. So now back at Madison Square Garden, you got to think it's going to be rocking like it was for Game 1. We'll see. Can the Knicks get up big with a 2-0 lead at home, or can the Pacers look like they did last time? I know there's been a lot of talk about Tyrese Halliburton, the game he had in Game 1. I didn't think it was a terrible game. I know people immediately go to the points and see 6 points.
Isn't he hurt?
He's a little
Hurting.
injured. Hurting, yes, I think would be a better way to say it. But Tyrese Halliburton just does so much that isn't going to show up in the stat sheet, kind of facilitating, setting up that offense. And so I did not think he had a bad game in Game 1, but we'll see what he does tonight. I don't think it's going to be every game that he only finishes with 6 points. If he goes out there and plays like he usually plays, this one could get really interesting tonight at the Garden.
I agree with you. I think tonight's going to be really good stuff between two old warhorse coaches that have a lot of similarities in them. My not top story, almost impossible for a guard, a ball handler on one end, to be the defensive player of the year on the other. Going against these magicians that can legally palm and legally carry the ball. Tell me the last time you saw either palming or carrying called. It's almost impossible to guard. Marcus Smart won it 2 years ago, and he handles the ball a lot on the offensive end and is a guard. A true point guard hadn't won it since Gary Payton, and Gary Payton, mostly known for his defensive prowess, only won once. It's hard to win it as a point guard. The big guys, they rule DPOY.
They sure do. And I think I saw some people on social media the other night when Minnesota was just dominating defensively, and they were like, are we going to have questions about Rudy Gobert winning this when he is announced in a couple of days that he's winning it? Because Minnesota is showing they're so good defensively with or without him. So that was kind of funny to see a lot of people chiming in with that on social media.
I don't know that we appreciate defense and the big fellas like we used to.
No, probably not. I don't think. I mean, I think you could say
you sure don't in the long slog of the regular season. You maybe now when we condense down to money time.
Yeah, when I think we don't appreciate defense in general in the NBA because it's just
and it doesn't sell a lot of tickets.
It doesn't. It's the offense.
It wins rings though.
You're absolutely right. It sure does. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about all the action that happened last night in the NBA playoffs. We'll also preview tonight's game. We're doing that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Anticipation is building for Memphis football.
3, 2, 1, that's your winner!
With a cast of returning stars ready for the big stage.
Caught! Rock Taylor! Touchdown Tigers!
The momentum for Memphis football is on the rise.
Harrigan into the end zone. Tiger touchdown. He just wouldn't be denied.
It's time to pounce. So purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGo.com.
Don't miss your chance to spring into deals at Lowe's. Right now, get 3 19.3-ounce vegetable and herbs Bonnie plants for $10. Plus, get 2 bags of Miracle-Gro organic raised bed soil for $15. Shop spring savings early this year, in-store and online today. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/15. Bonnie offer in-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii while supplies last.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk?